In 1958, the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny celebrated the opening of their new mother house. Construction of this new facility started in 1955, and it was officially dedicated on May 20th, 1958. A space for a cloister had been provided in the new building, a place where sisters could live a life of deeper prayer and contemplation.
The contemplative life itself is very, very hard to define. And I think the structures of cloisters, retiros, houses of prayer, and so forth are designed to provide the silence and the atmosphere, the prayerful atmosphere, a community atmosphere, the willingness to learn to love each other without judgment.
The cloister of the Porciuncula was housed in the rear west portion of the building and had room for 12 sisters. Led by Sister Elaine Bain, 6 Allegheny Franciscans entered the cloister on January 25, 1959.
Our new life began, and it was pretty much structured by the statutes. And the statutes for the cloister were designed by Father Callista Smith, OFM, a canon lawyer, and it was sent to Rome, even the Horarium. And it was modeled on cloistered orders of the time. Our life at that time, and for several years, centered around the Liturgy of the Divine Office, 7 times a day, Eucharist. We had matins and lauds and meditation at midnight. We arose at 4:30 a.m. And it was an atmosphere of silence, prayer, work, recollection throughout the whole day. We had a half-hour recreation in the evening. In addition to the Lenten fasts, we had 3 lengthy fasts that St. Francis had followed. Also, we only had meat on 4 days of the year.
After Vatican II, the cloister transitioned into the Retiro. Retiro means a place apart, and the change signified a shift toward a life more in line with the mission of the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny.
It's wonderful that it's recognized as Ritiro, is cloister Ritiro. We don't very often use that terminology, and I like it because it's not something that we did as Ritiro. We didn't change our name. That was something that we learned from being cloistered, that was not our calling for our congregation.
Early 80s when I was there, it was a time of change. I guess it's always a time of change, but we were doing altar breads at the time for a source of income. And finally, after being called upon for spiritual direction, retreats, and all those kind of things, we just couldn't do everything. So we requested that we cease doing the altar bread so we could give our energies to the spiritual direction and retreats that people were hungry for. And we were allowed to do that.
Under the Retiro arrangement, a more or less permanent group of sisters live a contemplative lifestyle while remaining active members of the congregation. Other sisters are welcome to join the group temporarily as requested. The Ritiro sisters maintain the spirit of silence and prayer that was part of the original inspiration for the cloister, as well as commitment to sacrifice and praying for the needs of the congregation and the church.
It's something, but you become like family to one another. You know, you truly are sisters to one another. And the prayer goes out to all people. And the letters I get or the telephone calls asking for prayer speak to my heart that God is calling or is inviting me to just go deeper and deeper and be free. share that with people that are sad, or sick, or afraid, to call on God, to be with God, to take some time. Let God work in them and through them. It's not living contemplatively, so to speak, but it's they're not called to that. They are called to prayer and to relationship with God. So there are simple ways of sharing that.
And also, I want everybody to know that people in the Ritiro are not special people. It's nothing about that. We're there for others. We're there to pray for the world. That is our ministry, to be for others.